They wanted to mix Christianity with philosophy. So they wanted to bring out something that is not of God. We call it syncretism. That is the mix, a little bit of this and a little bit of that. You know, the gospel is pure. And the gospel, as pure as it is, the gospel is simple. The book of Colossians. Now, in this book of Colossians, there are very, very important things that we can learn from this book as believers. This book was written by none other than the apostle himself, that is Apostle Paul. And the main reason for writing this book was to warn the believers in Colossae. It was to warn them about the coming of heresy. There was a group of people who were coming into the church with a different kind of teachings. They wanted to mix Christianity with philosophy. So they wanted to bring out something that is not of God. We call it syncretism. That is the mix, a little bit of this and a little bit of that. You know, the gospel is pure. And the gospel, as pure as it is, the gospel is simple. You cannot add anything to it. Salvation is from God. And the only way to be saved, it is to put your trust in Jesus Christ. So there is no other mixture. Now we see here Paul introduces himself in chapter 1. That is, Paul, an apostle of Christ Jesus by the will of God, and Timothy, our brother. Why is Paul introducing himself as an apostle? If you read through the Bible, the letters of Paul, you see Paul sometimes referring himself to a slave or a servant. But the authority that Paul occupies, the authority that Paul has as an apostle, is from God. It is God himself who qualified Paul to be an apostle of his son Jesus Christ to the Gentiles. Some people were not happy with it. Some Jewish leaders, Christians from Jerusalem, were not happy with the apostleship of Paul, because they claimed that Paul was not among the 12, not among the disciples who walked with Jesus. But Paul saw Jesus on his way to Damascus to persecute the church. Jesus appeared to Paul one-on-one, and Paul was converted. Paul was turned from Saul to Paul. So Paul was an authority. As an apostle, Paul has an authority. That is, Paul, an apostle, not by the will of man. His apostleship was by the will of God.